Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again for the live Q&A session here on my channel. We're having some technical weirdness today, so bear with me if I disappear. That's why. Anywho, welcome. Thank you for spending some time with me today. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator. And my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you tips, tricks, techniques, things that I do every day in my own voiceover business. And then we get together in these weekly chats to talk about a topic or 10. See how it goes. But if you're not new here, then you know that every week we have a new poll, which is typically the topic of the day. And today's poll is: what should your focus be when you're building your recording space? Again, these topics come from questions that I get all the time from those of you that watch my videos, so keep them coming. If there's something you guys want to talk about in particular, then leave those comments for me. I do make notes and I do listen. Okay, so let's go over to the poll. Looks like, so you guys are always yelling at me about there not being a all of the above option. So this week, I added a all of the above option. And it looks like some of you didn't choose it anyway. But anyway, so what should your focus be when you're building your recording space? It looks like none of you selected mic placement. 6% of you said proximity to noise. 8% of you said walls and or surrounding surface treatments, right? And then, of course, there's all of the above, which 84% of you selected. And really, it's all of the above. I mean, you could argue the benefits of one over the other very easily, but when it comes down to it, I think all of these are huge factors in how your room is going to sound. The microphone that you choose to start with itself is not as important as your room and how your room is treated. Because as we've said before, you could choose a $50 mic and your room can sound horrible using it. Or you could choose a $5,000 mic and that $5,000 mic is just going to make your horrible sounding room sound more horrible, right? Proximity to noise, you have to take that into consideration. And that could be, again, I'm limited in characters to what noise could be, but it really could be anything that generates a low hum, especially if you're getting into audiobooks, because we have that noise floor to contend with, right? That standard that we have to be under negative 60 dB. So if you have a computer, your computer is in close proximity. Again, keep in mind this microphone does not know to only pick up your voice. It's going to pick up anything making noise within its range of, pickup, within its pickup range. So it could be your computer making noise. It could be your HVAC system. It's wintertime now, so if your heater's running, it's going to pick up that noise too. If you have an electrical panel nearby, it could be emitting a low frequency hum, which I do in this room, so I completely feel you on that. If you have a ceiling fan or a fan running in the summertime, noise. Even some of your lights can make noise. You could have interference from your cell phone. It could be a number of things. The cables that you're using that can generate noise, feedback, static, right? All of those things you have to take in consideration. And then, of course, the walls, ceilings, and floors surrounding you is also a factor. And that's could be easily treated depending on how your room is shaped, how large your room is, how small your room is, if it's a square, rectangle, oval, whatever it is. But keep in mind that your voice is a vibration. So when you're speaking, your voice it's going to vibrate out and bounce off of anything that's, hard, smooth surfaces around you. So the walls in front of you, to the side of you, behind you, the floor underneath you, the ceiling above you, all of that stuff can create echo. And also, if your room is a weird shape, there could be like a boxiness to the sound, right? But we're really getting into some of the more advanced things to keep in mind. But ultimately, when you're first starting, you want to try to find a space in your home, your apartment, wherever you are, that you can dedicate to doing this. And I say dedicate because once you have it set up, ideally you don't want to have to take it down and set it up every time you want to use it. And you don't want your room's sound to change, right? From recording to recording to recording, because any little change that you make in your recording space the difference could be heard in your recordings. So if you can dedicate a space to recording voiceovers or audiobooks, that is ideal. And then take some time to, figure out which mic you're going to use, how that is best positioned for you or for the mic itself. Some are, right in front of you. Some are going to be off to the side. If you have a shotgun mic, it's going to be positioned either sort of like mine is, or at a 90-degree angle above you or below you. Right? So there's a lot of things to consider, I guess, is what I'm getting at. But all of these things can help your room or you sound the best that you can without having to spend a whole lot on the equipment itself, right? So focusing more on your space as a whole over the equipment itself in the beginning is definitely where your focus should be. It doesn't really matter what kind of computer that you use, as long as it's, I would say, has like 8 gigs of RAM, right? I think it's fine to run all the applications you need. So don't overthink the computer too much, as long as it's not making noise, right? Don't overthink the microphone too much in the beginning. It's really your space is going to have the biggest impact for you. And then you can upgrade things as you go along. Let's see, did I forget anything? I don't know, but I'm sure you guys have questions. So if you have questions regarding your recording space or anything like that, it looks like we have Caesar in the house. So if you have technical questions, then Caesar might oblige us to answer. So let's get over to the comments and see who's here. We got a lot of people chatting away in here already. We had some people that beat me in. Paul from Arkansas. How you doing? Good morning. Good to see you. Dwight was also here before I got here this morning. Hey, Dwight. Hello. Today is Correction Day. Tomorrow's National Bagel Day. I might have to go get me a bagel. But I digress. Good morning, our red-haired goddess of the VO realm. Notice the raven thing is an ixnay out of the Dorje. Yes, we don't talk about the raven-haired. Yeah. But good morning, Dwight. Good to see you. Reading time with Poppy. Here early and hungry. Who's got the donuts? Yep. Let's see who's late. If you're late to the live stream, you bring donuts. Just make sure there's enough for everyone. Today we got about 57 people here watching. Goodness gracious, that's a lot of donuts. Make sure you bring enough for everybody. Poppy says, almost over the vicious bug I got around New Year's. That's been going around. A lot of people sick right now. To anyone struggling to get past the coughs, etc., I'm with you. Garlic and honey, among other things. See, I told one of my clients to do that. Garlic with honey, raw garlic cloves and honey. But he just went, ugh. Trust me. Oh, and then that's me. Voiceover Angela, of course, because that's me. Caesar said, "Oh, hi, Angela. Oh, hi, Caesar." Excuse me as I choke. Excuse me. I chose all of the above, but I'll do one more and say start with the walls, then the noise, and then your mic technique. I would agree. Removing reverb, which is echo, will make the biggest impact to your audio quality. Soundproofing is great, but if you can get around noise by timing your recording sessions, do that in the interim until you can afford noise control. Record at night, switch on, off the AC, and so on. Yes, I know for some of you that deal with like, bits of time throughout the day where there just seems to be excess noise, like rush hour in the morning, rush hour at night. If you live near an airport, if you do, I'm so sorry. For me, I have a playground that's about 15 feet outside of where my studio sits, so I have a good idea of when when kids get home from school and then they're out there playing on the playground, usually in the evening. So I try to time my recording sessions, usually in the morning when I'm fresh and ready to go anyway, and then sometimes in the evening after all the kiddos have gone home for dinner, right? So you'll start to get a good idea of when it's most noisy and then schedule your recording times within the non-noisy times. But focus more on your space itself, and not so much even the sound proofing, but sound treating it for sound, meaning covering those hard, smooth surfaces is ideal, because the only way you're really going to be sound proof is if you're buying a Studio Bricks booth or a Whisper Room or, one of those triple walled booths where you can go in, close the door, and just isolate yourself from the world. And not everybody can afford those. So the majority of us are just repurposing a room in our homes or building like what Anthony Pica likes to call like the hobo fort, right? When you've got the PVC and the moving blankets and maybe some other things, you're building something of your own, right? So treating the room is going to be more important than soundproofing. Caesar says, then finally, mic placement is the least costly, but often misunderstood and often done wrong. Experiment, use your ears, listen for weirdness like comb filtering or muddiness. And Caesar, I think, forgets that not everybody knows what that means. If you, more than likely in the beginning, you have not yet developed an ear to even understand or what these things sound like or supposed to sound like or not supposed to sound like. So your best bet is, again, get yourself into a community, a mastermind, a workshop, a Facebook group, somewhere where there are nice people, like my Platinum group, for example, that are willing, able, and open to giving you feedback on your demos. And they can tell you, most of them have developed that ear. Caesar has, for sure. And he could tell you just by listening, I think you should move your microphone. He could probably tell you what microphone you're using. It's insane. It's uncanny. But we could say we still hear some echo and you need to make some adjustments. So that's what I would do until you start to develop the ear to pick up on these things. But, Caesar says, most importantly, start. Absolutely right. That is the most important thing. Start. You can improve as you go along, but don't hold off on getting your career going until you get everything right, because more than likely you never will. You'll never have everything right? Don't strive for perfection, because in my eyes, perfection doesn't exist. It's a very subjective term, right? There's no such thing as perfection. It does more damage than good, I think, that word. Adjust as you go. Explore mitigating factors. And then Caesar says, Caesar's got a lot to say this morning. Learn EQ, expansion or gating, and use noise filters in the DAW intelligently before you buy expensive bass traps or sheets of mass-loaded vinyl. Nothing should stop you from starting. That said, hello everyone. This one's for Platinum. Is anyone interested in a social media primer? Yes, I think everybody would be, so just go ahead and set that up, Caesar. Seems like we all want to start the year strong with self-promotion, but find social media confusing. Yes. Dwight, yeah, he's on board. Caesar, count me in. Social media primer sounds useful to me. Jonathan says the same. Jonathan says, I have a nice treated space. There's only about a 3-hour window where I live after roommates all asleep at 3 a.m. and not making noise, and before I leave for work at about 6:15 a.m. Yeah, I think a lot of people are in that same boat. They don't have a whole lot of, not very large windows, I guess, per se, to record in. Just do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Dwight says, along the title of the session, one of the things people forget about, and I know I did, when designing and building their VO space, is dimensions and how it affects your sound. It does. You would think it wouldn't, but it does. And then continued, I built mine in basically square shape when, in fact, I should have done a longer rectangular shape. As you improve your talents, improve your booth, gear, and dimensionally, too. And just forewarning, I'm gonna get through these comments fairly quickly today. I do have kiddo has an early day at school, half day, so I have to leave like immediately in about 45 minutes. So I'm gonna try to zoom through these today. I apologize. Peak Parable says, I live next to a small airport due to good insulation on the house and decent soundproofing. You rarely can hear planes take off or land. Well, that's impressive. By doing directional mic placement, that also helps to mitigate background noise that can be picked up from external sounds. Absolutely. Mike, why did I say Mike? Brian Mitchell says, good morning, all. So I can't help but think that the single most important factor in building a studio is budget. It is budget. It can be done on a budget. My first space was all budget. I just draped like duvets, comforters, the extra blankets that you have for company, or go to your local thrift store and grab a blanket or something, wash it, and then hang it on the wall if you have to. You just need to cover up bare walls, bare floors, bare ceilings, bare doors, anything that can reflect your voice and create echo, right? Towels. I mean, don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be expensive vinyl. It doesn't have to be expensive, acoustic foam or anything else. Just whatever you got, use it, right? It can be done on a budget. Jonathan says, parallel anything causes the most reverb in any space. Reading time with Poppy says, all of the above, but I picked room treatment. The sound difference in my tiny room after I basically turned it into a walk-in closet was crazy. Sorry if this is a repeat. Don't see my prior type up. Dwight says, don't forget to like, follow, and share. It helps the algorithms. Yes, we must feed the algorithm beast. I appreciate you guys. We say it so Angela doesn't have to. She is very shy. And like most of us, you're going to make me blush. Has a hard time self-promoting, so tap that button. Yes, please do that. I don't like tooting my own horn. It makes me feel weird. It makes my inner introvert scream. Reading time with Poppy says to Brian, budget is important, but can change massively with several factors. Build it yourself, treat it with clothes, blankets, etc. It's a lot less than buying, hiring. Dwight says, I like Brian's thought about budget. But if you have a strong enough why and how to, you will figure it out. Desire and passion are keystones to success. Why let money stand in your way? Brainstorm it, yes. And another reason to be part of groups. Brainstorm with people who might have been in your position and probably have a good answer, a good solution to your problem. Good suggestion anyway, right? So get out there and make some friends. We're all very warm and welcoming and happy to help. You'll be surprised. Reach out. We'll take care of you. Caretaker Saxon says, looking forward to this topic. All I have to work with is my bedroom, so need to figure out how to set up cost effectively and efficiently. People that I have worked with in your position that only have one room and it's your room, If you can give up the closet, use the closet. If not, then you might need to do make some sort of a partition, right? Ideally, you want to be surrounded by softness for, just to make it simple. I have these moving blankets on my walls, and there's also acoustic foam behind them. But you don't have to do all of that, right? As long as you have something to absorb or to prevent your voice from bouncing around the room. Just don't forget above your head and below your feet, because those are just as important. They will also reflect. I've known people that have made voiceover booths in, buses, RVs, living the van life. So it can be done with just a little bit of creativity and thought. Jonathan says, my biggest problem is using any of these things against myself as an excuse to just not do it at all. Gotta just roll with where I'm at. Exactly my point. Jonathan, thank you for saying that. Just do it. Figure it out. Just figure it out. If you want to do this, strongly enough, you can figure it out. Again, get into those groups. Ask questions. There's no dumb questions. Just ask. You'll get some help. Colette is here. Hey, Colette. How you doing? Chat with Lorna says, good morning from Foggy, Oregon. Great topic. I'm looking for tips while traveling for quick hacks. Reading Time with Poppy says, I also second the sentiment to just start. Start recording with whatever you have and improve when you can, even if it's only LibriVox at first. I mean, that's what I did. I just kind of had this weird little storage/office room in my townhome and repurposed it for a studio. It's like a 5x6 room. It's like a storage closet. I just threw some stuff on the walls and figured it out. Just work with what you got. Doesn't have to be pretty. Does not have to be pretty. Just has to sound good. Masonry Construction says, you haven't even begun talking yet, and already I have given you a thumbs up. Ah, the value of experience. Rusta Gilbilly is here. Good morning. Good morning. Wishing you a beautiful morning. Yes, ma'am. Pamela says, good morning. I am just at the point of contacting my handyman for a PVC build. You could probably do it yourself, Pam. You could probably do it yourself, but I get it. Get him in there. Sally says, good morning all. Glad to be here. Good morning, Sally. Good morning, Kristen. How you doing? Brian says, to Reading Time with Poppy, there are different stages in building studios. But its budget was no issue, you wouldn't choose. But if budget was no issue, you wouldn't choose clothes, blankets, etc. You'd get the best. Of course. But you can always start with what you got and what's available to you and then upgrade as you go. Right? I mean, again, that's what I did. Just upgrade when and where you can. Erica Carr says, I've heard a lot about a small space, but I have a room. The closet is small, but long and narrow. Do you suggest using the whole room, or would the long, narrow closet work better? I mean, probably the long, narrow closet. Just, again, make sure that you're more cognizant of, what's around you. Even shelving. If you have shelving in your closet, make sure that you're covering those because, again, the vibration can get into those cubbies and, reflect back to the mic weird, distortions of your voice. So just make sure that you can cover up those walls. And if you have clothes or, linens or something, leave them in there. That's good sound absorption. Leave that stuff in there. You don't have to clear it out. Just make enough room for you to sit and do your thing or stand and do your thing. Just make sure there's enough room for you, but leave all the rest of the stuff in there and then cover all the exposed walls, floors, ceilings, shelves. Tanya, if I can click on it. Tanya says, evening all. I brought Jaffa cakes. Am I saying that right? I thought I had my sounds sorted until I adjusted the RMS for ACX and realized I had a background hiss. That's the worst. Most of the DAWs that we use, you can remove a specific frequency of sound, which I've often had to do with this electrical panel in my room. That would be the first thing that I would do. So after you record something, save it. Before you apply any other effects, target that specific frequency or that hiss in your case that you're trying to remove, capture it, and then remove that sound, and then put your effects on it. And then do everything that you need to do, edit, normalize, and then check your RMS. But yes, typically the last step is to normalize to negative 3 dB. So keep in mind that that's going to increase the volume of everything. Not just your dialogue, but it's also going to increase the volume of any other noise, anything else that's in that file. So if you have a very quiet hiss, hum, something that's going to affect your noise floor, then after you normalize it, it's definitely going to be a lot more prominent than it was before. So isolate it, remove it first. This is what I recommend. What is wrong with me today? I speak words good. Angel says, morning everyone from Dallas, getting over a cold. Oh, hope everyone's health is good. Take care of yourselves and eat your veggies. Yes, eat your veggies, take your vitamins, get lots of rest, and hydrate. Hydration, key, and rest, and exercise. But Ron is here. Hey, Ron. Hello from Grand Haven, Michigan. Hello. Sarah Clark is here. Hey, Sarah. Hi. I'm upgrading the blanket fort in the corner of my office into something a bit more roomy and comfortable for my audiobook sessions. Ready to learn where I should invest. How can we upgrade a blanket fort? I guess it depends on how yours is structured. And it also depends on how much room or what you're trying to do. So, I'm hoping something said helped you so far. I want to say there's actually like a booth building Facebook group. Does anybody know if that's still around? I think that was a thing for a while. Like it's a specific Facebook group for building a recording booth. You know, not just with plywood and, foam and all that stuff, but like blanket forts or hobo forts, as Anthony called them. Colette says, Pam, it's really pretty easy. You can buy a PVC pipe cutter and just stick it together. I mean, she's not wrong. You could, get some long pieces of PVC, measure and cut them, then get the little elbow corners or like the little T junctions, right? And then sort of put it together like Lincoln logs, right? You could totally just do that. And then you get like the little clamps, and then you can hang moving blankets, or just blankets, towels, whatever you got, duvets that you're not using, that the company doesn't use, whatever. Caesar says to Erica, it's a trade-off. Treating a whole room will likely cost more. A closet can simplify the process, but you'll have to control the low end and low mids with EQ because of bass buildup. Again, Caesar, I think you're speaking a language that not everybody understands yet. You're not wrong, but I definitely think the closet's a better choice to start. Might be a little bit easier. World's noisiest water bottle. I apologize. Dylan is here. Hey, Dylan. Now that you have finally put all of the above as an option, I chose room treatments. Of course you did. All of the above seems like cheating. See, that's why I don't use it. Because then you guys just go, oh, it's all of the above. I'm just going to pick that instead of giving, little individual, mini topics to talk about. Eesh. Because I'm never happy. Brian says to Dylan, nothing will please you. Yes, he's so hard to please. Never satisfied. Erica says, thank you, Caesar. Rich Hallstrom. Hey, Rich. Excuse me. I haven't seen you in a while. The mic should be the last thing on your mind. A great space makes an average mic sound great. Avoid a box shape at all costs. Jonathan says, hi, everyone. I'm on vacation in Hawaii. Why don't you just give me a nice paper cut and pour some lemon juice in it? Jonathan. Whatever. And you're not working during the stream. A rare Tuesday live viewing stoked about. Oh, great. I'm happy for you. I hope you're having fun. Sunscreen. Don't forget the sunscreen. Gregory says, Happy Taco Tuesday, folks. I slid in as the door was closing, so donuts on the next person. I am thankful for the sound closet because I am surrounded by thick clothes. Other exposed surfaces. Do you have a continuation? I don't see one. Oh, nope. Okay, just making sure. Caesar says to Erica, you're welcome. Don't forget comfort. I can't do a booth. I'm claustrophobic, so I forked over the cash for full room treatment. Expensive, but makes for a far more open, natural sound. And Caesar's bougie. He's bougie. Dwight says to Eric, I agree with Caesar, but remember, the more you can do to your environment to mitigate issues will help you use less effects racks tools. That's a great point. Because dialing in your room or focusing more on your room itself is going to do more for you in post, or realistically, you're going to have to use less in post. And when I say in post, I mean with the processing, the effects that you are having to apply to either remove specific noises and to enhance sound. If your room is treated properly or effectively, you're satisfied with your room treatment, because I hate perfect, then the less you're going to have to do to it in post. Now, even if you're putting on an EQ, your mouth declick, de-reverb, any kind of noise reducer, first and foremost, is going to be more destructive on your audio quality than I think you realize. And then once you normalize to -3 at the end, or anything else that you do that increases the volume, that destruction is a lot more audible, right? And then depending on what the client is using to listen to your playback on, it might even enhance that destruction or distortion. So long story short, moral of the story is treat the room, make sure that your mic is positioned correctly, and the less effects that you put on in post, right? If you don't need the effect, don't use it, or use it very sparingly, right? Don't go crazy on any one effect, because they all can, distort or destruct your audio quality in some way, shape, or form. You want to sound as natural as possible. That makes sense. Oh, you did have a continuation. I completely missed it. So you said, Gregory says, are covered with acoustic foam. It makes my USB mic sound really sweet. And then Chris is here. Hey, Chris, haven't seen you in a while. Note, some buzz and hum can be your connections, especially when using jump connectors or wires. Internal wire frays can cause more issues, so always have a few extra wires just in case. The cables that you choose that run from your mic to your interface, and then also from your interface to your mic, or if you're using a USB mic, make sure that that all of the connections are seated really well, meaning they're plugged in all the way. If you're using like secondhand stuff, you might want to upgrade the cables on those pieces. If anything, if you're going to upgrade anything right away, it would be the cables. I use Megami Gold cables just because they help to reduce any kind of interference or buzzes or hums or anything like that. Also, extenders, right? You've seen them. If you've come to the conclusion, much like I did in the beginning, that I needed to move my computer far away from my microphone, but the cable was not long enough, right? It was a USB-C cable, I believe, for something. I don't recall. But anyway, it wasn't long enough. I think it was from the interface to the computer. It wasn't long enough. And I had to use like a extender. Don't do that if you don't have to. You want a singular clean line from whatever it is that you're connecting. You want any kind of interruptions along the way, because that could create some kind of interference or feedback, hums, anything like that. You don't want it. You want your audio to come in and out as clean as possible. So one singular wire, if you can. And Amazon has everything. I got all of my wires from Amazon, all my cables. extra long cables. You can get them on Amazon if you have to. M. Todd Coyne says, my 416 needed a booth. My dynamic needs room treatment. Dylan says, Brian, you get me. Peak Parable says, Caesar was recently midterm an AKG 2000 precision mic. Thoughts if you have experience with this mic? Caesar says, something I mentioned last year, an expensive microphone will sound terrible in a terrible sounding room. Treat your space before you treat yourself with a Neumann U87 AI. Tess says, oh, late, had to stop for where are they? Where's the donuts? God. Glowin says, good afternoon all, here for a weekly Tangelent. I'm sure I've had a couple of tangents already. Hope everyone has fresh hot coffee and some snacks. I'm late, so here's the donuts. Boston cream, apple fritters, and sugar donuts for all. Tess says, hi from no, Dracula. It's still funny. It's still funny. Dylan says, lots of people here today. Remember to click the like button, so please. The algorithm deities. Apparently I need more coffee. Gregory says, 50-something folks should be 50-something likes. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. You guys are the best. Glowin says, I went all of the above because fixing one leaves the others out of place. I discovered this the hard way, as do most of us. So that's why we have these conversations, to make you aware of these things so you don't have to find out the hard way by, process of elimination, or having to go through all the trial and error just to discover there's something else that you have to deal with now. The things on the items on the poll are the biggest ones, I think. You might find that your specific situation, you might have something else come up that, falls in between one of these, but these are usually the largest items to focus on when building your recording space. And it probably will take a little bit of trial and error to get all these things right. But again, I can't stress enough, get to be part of a community, ask some questions. Most of the people in these communities probably have at least a little bit experience at this point with building their booths, if not have been doing this for years and have been in a similar situation that you're currently in, and can probably answer your question. So, or if you have the extra funds at this time, you could always hire an audio engineer to do a booth audit, and they could probably tell you exactly, much like Caesar, they have a very well-developed ear, and they can probably tell you where to place treatment or where to move your microphone, how to position it, so on and so forth. There are ways to get this done. But I think in the trial and error, you learn so much and become so self-sufficient. There's a lot of good that can come from just putting yourself through those steps, right? Throwing yourself into the fire and figuring it out. There's a lot you can learn in that process. So any which way you go about it, there's no negativity. You learn something, right? Peak Parable says, being next to a small private airport, I get Cessna airplanes that sometimes fly only 30 feet above. Oh, God. My house sometimes. I find dealing with noise treatment is late at night when flight traffic is none. That's rough. Tanya says, is it Moline tea? I haven't heard of that one. Helps to rid mucus from colds. Oh, interesting. Caesar says, to Peak Parables, matter of fact, I do. Shocker. Beautiful sounding back electric cardioid condenser. Am I saying that right? Meh. Depending on your source, I would avoid using the built-in high-pass filter. It's a touch aggressive. Glowin says to Dylan, like a button gently smashed. Gentle smashing is the best smashing. Caesar, don't make me get the spray. No, Caesar. Peak Parables to Caesar. I was recently gifted an AKG 2000 precision mic. I think that was a dupe. Caretaker Saxon says, true. Seems knowing your area's noise schedule is the cheapest soundproofing. When Nana's daycare is open and not a good time. Love my nieces, but they are a little herd of elephants. Funny. Marta says, thanks for your support. Can you recommend someone who performs sound evaluation in compliance with ACX standards? I do. Just about everyone in my group does. I guess it depends on what exactly you're looking for. If you're looking for an audio engineer to also do maybe perhaps a booth audit and kill a couple birds with one stone, or if you're just looking for guidance on how to get your space and your audio specifically to ACX standards, then, myself or anyone in my group could probably help you. So, Platinum Group, plugging it. Check it out on my website, voiceoverangela.com. I plugged myself. I normally don't do that. I'm so proud. Peak Parable says to Caesar, thank you. I appreciate it. Sarah said, across the street from a commuter train stop here. It's very convenient 95% of the time when you need to use it, right? Or when you have company come over. But I have to double check the train schedule so I know when to time my tea breaks. Well, there you go. There's a good way of looking at it. At least you can take a tea break when the train comes in or goes out, all right? Get up, stretch, take a walk. Ben, hey Ben, good morning. All the above. Want to leave this here. Ray Porter records in a blanket booth when not in a studio. Everyone should keep that in mind when starting out or even when full-time. Again, it does not have to be pretty. It does not have to be expensive. It does not have to be impressive, even. It just has to sound good, right? The only thing that you need to think about is if you decide to create a YouTube channel like I did and people are going to see it behind you, then you might care about what it looks like. Or if you're at the stage where you're working in live directed sessions with clients, then you might care what it looks like. But even then, most of the, like Zoom or Google Meets or most of those programs will have like a blur background feature. So, ultimately, who cares what it looks like? It just has to sound good. Who cares? No one's going to see it but you. As long as you are comfortable and it sounds good, who cares what it looks like? It does the job. Caesar says to Peak Parables, my pleasure. AKG generally makes some truly amazing microphones, even after they became a subsidiary of Samsung. What are you trying to say? Huh? You got a problem with Samsung? Caesar? Dwight says to Marta and Caesar is an excellent option for that. Most of us can help you, but to really dial it in, someone like Caesar is an excellent option. Yes, Caesar is amazing. Colette says yes on the social media primer. And then Monty also says, count me in. I think you got a class to create, Caesar. Joy says, hey, Joy, happy Joy. Hello, everyone from the frigid city of Southfield in the Mitten State, where it's a cloudy 18 degrees. Nope. That's all you, Joy. I'll stay here. What I do is concentrate on all of the above because that audio quality will make or break you. Yes, definitely. You could have the best microphone on the market, and it'll just highlight how crappy your room sounds. So focus on that room first. Colette says, everyone, please like this video. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Monty says, good morning, all. Marta says, thank you, Dwight. Joy is also in on the social media primer. Caesar says, thanks for the endorsement, Dwight. To Marta, I would be happy to help you out. Are you in Angela's Discord? If not, perhaps we can correspond by email. Dylan says, speaking on budget, I call my studio my tax shelter. I've built an entire room complete with treatment that I'm using as tax breaks. And Fritz says, I record in our RV bedroom. Well, there you go. Just get it done. Just figure it out. Rich says, the inside of your car, yes, it can also be used as a recording space. Anthony Pica has a video on it. So does Mark Scott, I believe, and also Bill DeWeese, I want to say, did a video in his car. There's been a handful of people on YouTube that have done videos. What was this? YouTube. That have done videos on making their car into a vocal booth. Angel says, taking Caesar's directions in treating the walls first, does the material of the blankets, comforters, etc. matter? Down versus cotton versus poly? I'm sure Caesar has a very particular answer for you, specific answer for you, but ultimately you're just dampening the echo's ability to echo, right? It's absorbing the vibration of your voice instead of allowing it to bounce off. So ultimately does not matter as long as it's got some thickness to it and it's like floofy and thick, then it'll prevent the echo from happening. That's ultimately what you're looking for. And then if you want to get into specifics, which I'm sure Caesar has, then that's up to you. Caesar says, I should mention while we're talking about recording spaces, listen for ringing frequencies. They can be caused by stuff on your desk like a Stanley tumbler, thermos bottle, or a teacup. Really. And also, I mean, it's kind of obvious, but I didn't think about it either, but jewelry. If you're wearing jewelry, if you're a lady and you wear the earrings, bracelets, bangles, even like the clothing that you're wearing, if you're wearing corduroy jeans, if you're wearing a scratchy sweater, those things can also make noise that your microphone can pick up. So, or if your hair is down, if it's moving around, you know, against your shirt or something. Those things you need to keep in mind as well. Emily says, good morning from beautiful Colorado. I do so want to narrate my own audiobooks. I think you should, Emily. I love it when authors narrate their own books. Caesar says to Angel, thicker and dense is better. But since we're working whatever you got, just use whatever you got. Oh, Caesar, who's got the spray? No, Caesar. Not the time nor the place, Caesar. God. Spider Dergs? Spider Gergs? Spider GS? I'm just going to say Spider Dergs because it's fun. I found moving blankets work very well. Yeah, and that's what I've gotten here, and they work pretty well. Joyce says, that's right, Anthony Pica's famous hobo booth or the bedroom closet. That's what I did. I have plenty of clothes, pillows, and shoe boxes in there. The shoe boxes, probably not so much, Joy, because they're hard and smooth. And they could probably reflect, so you might want to cover those up or remove them. But clothes and pillows, blankets, towels, linens, yes. Glowen says, to Spider Dergs. Agreed. I acquired 3 of the thick padded moving blankets, then dropped semi-thick blackout curtains and made them wavy over top of them. Dense silence in there now. Creative. Where are we at with time? I've got about 10 minutes. Okay. Sean says, quick, inexpensive room treatment. Cheap blankets at the dollar store, double layered and sandwiched between shower curtains. Cost me $16 to treat my room. Creative. I like. Lacey Renee Marie says, hello all. I'm just starting out in book narration. I'm brand new. Welcome to the family. We're a little weird in here, but you're welcome. You found your tribe, I'm sure. Welcome to the family. Sarah Clark says, I'm thinking of getting a PVC blanket booth with some acoustic panels on the walls behind the booth. Your describing your setup actually helped. Good. Good. Spider Derg says, that's a good idea of the blackout curtains wavy over the top. I just finished cleaning and organizing my downstairs so I can build a perm booth, and I will have to look at doing the curtains with them. I like it. Angel says, thanks, Caesar. Peak Parable says, for me, I use PVC racks and moving blankets with clamps to add extra insulation. It can be done on the budget-friendly side. I love that you guys are sharing all these tips. I hope you guys are taking notes. Not that it matters, because you can always replay this video, I suppose, and get this information. Spider Derg says, for me, the mic is more important than I initially thought. Meh. I mean, that's debatable in the beginning. I mean, you don't want to just find a mic and, you know, left in the bin, you know, but it's not as important as people make it, really. Your space is more important. You can always upgrade later. Caesar says, couple of brand recommendations. In lieu of moving blankets, consider Vocal Booth to Go sound blankets, just putting your face against it, and you'll hear how much sound it absorbs. With your face against it? Your ear, perhaps? Spider Dirk says, I started with a ATR 2100X, but even with a good booth, it didn't pick up my lower end of my voice, and I upgraded to a Rode NT1, and it's been so much better. The booth setup was the most important. Oh, and this isn't directed at you, Spider. I've had this happen to a handful of people. Make sure that you're speaking into the correct side of the microphone. I can tell you how many people, because the distractions. I almost said the distractions. It's what I call instructions, the distractions. They don't give you like a physical manual with things anymore. Everything's like, scan me for the manual, and you got to go online, and no one ever does that. I mean, and they don't make it obvious of which side you speak into, but you're ultimately looking for the little gold dot that will indicate the front of a microphone typically. So make sure that you're speaking into the right side of the microphone. Just food for thought. Yeah. Sarah says to Caesar, thanks. I've been between VBTG and audio mute, but you can't really put your face up against blankets from an online retailer. Nor would I recommend it, because you don't know what else has been up against them. Glowen says to Spider, I did the upgrade to the Rode NT1 as well. It made my deep voice warmer. It was an amazing upgrade. Many thanks to Caesar for the recommendation. Caesar says to Sally, oh, yes, because if you do, you're basically listening to your computer screen, which is silly. Anecdotal advice, vocal booth to go. I have had great experience with them. Second recommendation, microphone. A Lauten Audio LS208, superb sound, even in imperfect rooms. Picks up only your voice and nothing else. Massive problem-solving microphone. No echo, all clarity. Look at you. I hope you're getting a commission. Caesar says to Glowen, happy to help. Let me know if you need any adjustments made to your effects rack. Glowen says to Caesar, I have no doubt I'll be in touch very soon. All right, let's see if we can get through these last comments because I gotta go. Dwight says, donut flavor of the day, Dunkin' Donuts moon pie. Oh, there's a moon pie donut? Are you kidding me? Oh, my God, that just sounds like trouble. Gregory says, and YouTube likes are all thumbs up. Hearts, just shower Angela with love, which I deserve, which I like. I like it all. I love it all. Just the fact that you guys are all here with me makes me happy. So likes and little hearts and all that stuff is just bonus. Peak Parable says to Caesar, helping to dish out the advice today. Dwight says, Angela, I'm proud of you too. You did a good job at promoting both you and your platinum group. I know. See, I don't like doing that, but I have to. Thanks, Dwight. Emily says, is it possible to use fabric art decorative pretty quilts to make a pleasing VO blanket? Absolutely. I mean, if you got the skills and you want to like crochet something up for your booth, then do it, right? Do whatever you got to do. Lacey says, can you get away with a snowball mic and foam on the walls? I'm just starting out and on a tight budget. I have known a few people who have done just that and did fine in the beginning, but you also have to keep in mind everything else around you, right? Not just where the foam is, but you also want to, be cognizant of if you have hardwood floors or tile floors and then the ceiling above you. If you can treat a room, even on a tight budget with whatever it is, right? It really that's what we're trying to get across. Just make sure that you're focusing on treating the room, and whatever mic you decide to start with, it's not going to sound as bad as it could without your room being treated properly, if that makes sense. So I say, yes, go. And then upgrade as you go along. Joy says, hey, in the beginning and still is, my closet booth is not pretty, but it is effective. There you go. Don't have to be pretty. Just has to sound good. Rich says, I am moving to a new apartment this week. All right, cool. And I'm in the middle of building a brand new studio build. Good for you. Caesar says to Lacey, yes, as mentioned previously, nothing should stop you from starting. Anna Brisbane started with a snowball ice, as did Anthony Pica, I believe. I think he did, actually. I think he did with snowball. Chat with Lorna says, I travel for work and house sit, pet sit. So recording area always changing. Opinions on lightweight fabric foam. I would say just have some blankets with you. Moving blankets are pretty dense. kind of heavy, but I mean, if you could just get like a big duffel bag and just throw all of your, I mean, that's what Anthony did. If we're talking about Anthony Pica, he had a big old gym bag that he drug out of the garage every night and put it back in there in the morning. And in it was all of the pieces or segments to his PVC booth and some moving blankets and clips. And he had to set up his booth every night, did his work while everyone was sleeping, and then took it all down, put it all back in the garage, and then went to work the next day. And he did that for a couple years, I think he said. Okay, we got to get through these last ones. Chat said, Lorna says, I used travel towel with my mic currently when house sitting and things I can find. Dwight says to Angel, cotton is best, but not a requirement. We often say use all of your clothes on the rack if they work great. If you use a lot of poly, put ripples and folds in it to absorb sound waves. Stuffed animals and fluffies are great sound absorbers. Angel says, thanks, Dwight, and everyone for all your insights. Dwight says, don't forget to use air gapping in your boots, i.e. use blankets hanging on both sides of the PVC poles. It then creates 3 layers with air being one in the middle. Great stuff. Okay, I may not be able to get to all these comments if they keep coming in. Eric says, hi all, here with French crullers. Oh, those are so good. One thing I was told even with blankets is to avoid smooth surface. Bunch the blankets like curtains hang. I also hung some of my favorite polo shirts. Emily says, it's really nice when I hear other authors do that. I'm co-authoring my first book, so why not start right away from the first manuscript? There you go. I'm going to have to skip a few of these and look for questions. I just wanted to see this one really quick. Calorito says, I missed the start. Well, you need to bring donuts. That's something you need to learn. If you're late, you bring donuts. But welcome to the VO family. We appreciate you being here. Ben says, rocking the blanket booth here. 2 times layer producer choice blankets and GIK 244 traps and 242 panels to even out absorption and clean up the very strong lower end of my voice. Jean says, hi, Angela. Hi, Jean. I am a new VO artist and want to say thank you to you. Your vids and advice has been invaluable. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Patricia said, hi from Jacksonville. I use an old words. You know, I have heard of a few people using those, like retired, like the audio booths where you test hearing. I'm trying to think of what they're called. It's probably what you're talking about. Or saunas or things like that where you can kind of treat the inside of it. But it's like thick, like the walls of it are thick and it has a door. And I've heard a lot of people repurposing these for sure. Okay, last 2. Caesar says to chat with Lorna. The Merry Mystic. Consider, that was the rest of your username. Consider Vocal Booth to Go VOMO. It's a mobile recording booth. Bit of an investment, but sounds really good for something portable. Awesome. Oh, you got it for $500 on the marketplace. Yeah, that's a lot cheaper than having to buy a Whisper Room or a Studio Bricks booth, because those are, you know, what, 3 to 10 grand, depending on how big and, you know, all the accoutrement, right? All of the options that come with it. So $500 and then just, you know, outfit it the way that you need it. Good choice. All right, y'all, I have got to get going, but as always, I will be here next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel, of course. If there's something that you guys want to talk about specifically, then leave those in the comments down below. I, again, appreciate you guys being here. If you're Team Replay, please consider liking, gently smashing that like button, as was said earlier, and also consider subscribing. It really does help the algorithm and push my content to more people looking for it. So I appreciate it, and I'm sure future VO artists appreciate it as well. So I'll see if I can end this stream without screwing it up. Too bad. I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Maybe. Let's try it again.